Hello Year 11s. This is the second in a series of videos that I'm doing on basic essay structure for text response essays. That is the single text response. So we're focusing on the longest memory, and today I'm going to be talking about body paragraphs. And get ready because it's a bit of a long one. I'm going to talk you through the process. If you were in class on Friday, this is actually what we went through, sorry, not on Friday, on Thursday last week. That's exactly what we went through in class. But this video is just a refresher for those people who found it too fast, or perhaps people who weren't there and were wanting to catch up. So we looked at this essay topic. In the longest memory, the system of slavery is presented as a major source of injustice. And we talked about the ideas here. We have the ideas of the system of slavery and then the sources of injustice. And I think we talked about the different sources of injustice that existed. So we do have the overarching system of slavery, but within that we have the injustices of brutal mistreatment and punishments. We have the injustice of lack of human rights, denial of medical treatment, denial of education and the right to literacy. We have the injustice of the system itself. But I flipped this on its head a little bit, and when we're talking about punishment, I created the topic sentence or the point, and it's here under idea, is that slave owners are presented as abusive and cruel. So a major source of injustice is the fact that the slave owners are abusive and cruel, is that idea. And it connects with the essay topic, source of injustice, and it is to do with an idea of abusive, cruel treatment. But my claim, or my idea that's going to be my topic sentence, is slave owners are abusive and cruel. And so I asked the question, who is the strongest example of cruel and abusive treatment towards slaves? And you guys all talked about Sanders Sr. and his diary entries. And so then we looked up quotes, and basically if I've got plenty of time and I'm planning and writing a slow essay, so it's not in test conditions, I'm just kind of mapping out my paragraph, I want to get really good evidence and analysis, I will do something like this. I'll write an idea, I'll come up with quotes and evidence, moments from the text, and then I'll write some analysis for it. And then when I write my paragraph, I just have to weave these ideas together. So we went to Sanders Sr.'s diary entries, and I asked you all to find me examples in there of injustice. And if you remember, we came into the diary entries and you guys found examples of cruelty. You talked about the fact that there was swinging his stick on the back of lazy legs. And so that was the quote from page 37. We took a quote. Oh, there's one here that would be a good example if you wanted to use it. The fact that he used a metaphor to describe slaves as lower than cattle. If you keep looking, page 41, we talked about the fact that he said, I had occasion to beat a slave for indolence. And then he was never to use his feet, but only the whip or stick. You could use that. And then we talked about the cruelty of the rape, and if she made a noise, she would soon be dead. You found some more quotes that the fact that his punishment for that was a fine, and on page 49 you'll find that his fine is doubled because of Cook's pregnancy, and that is probably enough. So that's kind of what we came up with. So I always have that book next to me while I'm doing my body paragraphs so that I can find the best possible examples and know where they are in the text and provide the context for them. So these were the quotes that we found. He swung his stick on the back of their lazy legs with force. Now remember that we put these square back brackets anytime we changed. So this original one was I swung my stick, but we had to change it to he and his to make it make sense in the when we actually use it as a quote. And our analysis that we wrote together was that there's a sense of pride or a tone of pride in his acts of violence, which emphasizes his cruelty. He boasted that he had occasion to beat a slave for indolence, implying that he feels lucky or fortunate to be able to do this violence. These were the quotes to do with the rape. He slapped her, grabbed her, covered her mouth, and said if she made a noise, she would soon be dead. Notice there's bits outside brackets, outside the quotes, inside the quotes. You don't need long quotes. So you'll see the way that I've collected these. I've just taken 1 word, 2 words, 3 words at a time, and then you can rearrange them however you like in a paragraph. And the rape seems premeditated and shows both the evil of Sanders Sr., but also Cook's powerlessness in the situation. And then the fact that his punishment was a fine that had been, now we could fix that up, his fine has been doubled, but this fine is doubled, just further reinforces the fact that the justice system is really inadequate. So we then took these and we put it together. And so this became our paragraph that we wrote. We started with a basic statement. Again, we might start with stepping above the text. So we start with the name of the author and the idea that he is conveying. So Dubois conveys the idea that slave owners within the slave system are heartless and cruel. Now, you could, if you wanted to be even more clear that you were answering this essay question, you might say something like, Dubois conveys the idea that a major source of injustice is due to the heartless and cruel slave owners within the slave system, for example. And then we've got a sentence which kind of explores or explains it a little bit more in a general way before we go into our detailed quotes and evidence. Sometimes we need to do this. Sometimes you can do it in a half sentence, but I've just got a sentence here that is a bit of a bridge between when I make my first claim, my topic sentence, and then I go into my detailed evidence. So this is revealed through the narrative perspective of Sanders Sr., so that's my meta language here, in his diary entries, where he systematically describes his abuse of slaves and Cook in particular. Okay, so this is the general evidence, the general thing that happens. Then we go more specific. He writes how he, and here we start to put our quotes in. He writes how he swung his stick on the back of slaves' lazy legs with force, and he boasted that he had occasion to beat a slave for indolence. That's actually a full quote there, sorry. So, what's happening here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quotes in one single sentence. So I've combined these two into my first set of evidence, and I'm going to now combine my analysis. Okay, so this is a pretty basic sentence text response essay structure. Remember, we're using teal, where we go topic sentence and then evidence, which is in yellow, and then my analysis, which is in pink. And so my analysis sentences are all going to have these analysis verbs, what Dubois is emphasizing, revealing, exposing, cautioning, or warning, or expressing, advocating. All of those words are going to be here. So Dubois emphasizes that Sanders Sr. is proud of his actions, implying that he is lucky or fortunate to be able to do violence. Perhaps it's better to say implying that he sees himself as lucky or fortunate to be able to do violence, which further presents his cruelty and immoral acts. The cruelty of Sanders Sr., so that is the end of A. And here we actually kind of introduce our next example by analysing first. Remember that we can actually we don't have to do this specific order, evidence then analysis, evidence then analysis, you can kind of vary it up. You can analyze first and then lead to your evidence. And this is what I'm about to do here. So the cruelty of Sanders Sr. continues to be revealed through his description of how he raped Cook. Okay, so this bit is the analysis, and then there is the general evidence here. He writes how he slapped her, grabbed her, covered her mouth, and threatened that if she made a noise, she would soon be dead. Okay, so we're adding in slapped her, grabbed her, covered her mouth. So they become one sentence. 4 quotes in that sentence. Sanders Sr. is punished for his rape by Mr. Whitechapel with a fine that has been doubled on account of Cook's pregnancy, and then he's forced to marry. Well, that's something we remembered, but we didn't write in our detailed evidence. We didn't put it in our quote. So we grouped this lot of quotes together here. Readers, so this is now coming into my analysis. Readers are invited to see the injustice and the inadequacy of the light punishments, the brutal actions of Sanders Sr., and therefore recognise and condemn the barbaric practices of the time. So we come back to analysis here. And then we finish off the paragraph with a link sentence, remembering that your link sentence has to come back to your topic sentence and go back to your essay topic. So my link is thus, Degois exposes the injustice of the system of slavery due to the cruelty of those within the system. So cruelty is from my topic sentence, and injustice is from my essay topic here. And so I complete my link with both the ideas from the essay topic and the topic sentence. And that finishes off the paragraph. Look, there are lots of different ways of writing this. As long as you're making a claim in your topic sentence that then you go and back up with a bunch of evidence using a lot of quotes, it's generally going to be seen as a response that demonstrates knowledge of the text and the ability to analyze the question and the text itself. So they're the things that are really important. I want you to have a go. Let me know if you get stuck and if you want me to go over this again or make like a really basic version. This is not a basic version. This is more of a upper mid-range. It's got plenty of quotes. It's got some good analysis in it. So it is, a mid-upper range response. But if you want a really basic one, I can direct you back to our OneNote. There is the simple body paragraph structure page. And if anybody wants me to go over that again in a video, you just need to let me know. Okay. Thank you all so much and all the best.